That night should have been like any other. The warmth of Daniel's body next to mine, the soft hum of the city beyond our window, the sense of safety I had always felt in his presence. But in a matter of seconds, everything unraveled. His hands were on me, his breath warm against my skin. My mind drifted in that haze between reality and unconscious thought, where words slipped out before I had a chance to process them. And then, his name. Not Daniel's. Nathan, I whispered. Everything stopped. His touch disappeared as if I had burned him. I felt the weight of his body pull away, the bed shifting beneath us. My eyes snapped open, and the moment I saw his face, his dark eyes wide with shock, his mouth slightly parted as though the air had been stolen from his lungs, I knew something was terribly wrong. "What the hell did you just say?" His voice was low, but there was a sharpness to it, a blade hidden beneath the quiet. I blinked, my heart hammering in my chest. "What?" "You said another man's name," he hissed. "Nathan." "Who the hell is Nathan?" The name echoed in my own ears as though I were hearing it for the first time. Nathan? I struggled to grasp it, to find some connection to a memory, but my mind was blank. I hadn't been thinking about anyone else. I hadn't even been thinking, period. "Daniel, I don't know," I stammered, pushing myself up on my elbows. "I don't know anyone named Nathan." His expression darkened. "Oh, that's convenient." "I swear," I pleaded, reaching for him, but he flinched as though my touch might poison him. My stomach twisted. I don't know why I said that. It just came out. I wasn't even conscious of it. He let out a cold, humorless laugh. "You don't accidentally whisper another man's name in bed, Emily. That doesn't just come out unless it's already in your head." Panic crawled up my spine, my chest tightening. I felt like I was drowning in confusion. There was no Nathan. I had never cheated, never even thought about it. But how could I prove something I didn't understand myself? "Daniel, please," I begged, my voice cracking. His jaw clenched. His hands curled into fists at his sides, as if he was trying to hold himself together. And then, without another word, he threw the blankets aside and got out of bed. "Where are you going?" I scrambled after him, nearly tripping over myself as I followed him to the closet, where he grabbed his jeans, pulling them on with sharp, angry movements. "Away from here." My breath caught. "No." "Daniel, wait," he whirled around, his expression now filled with something even worse than anger. "Hurt." "What do you expect me to do, Emily? Stay here? Lie in this bed, next to my wife, knowing that she just whispered another man's name? I don't even know who, it doesn't matter." His voice rose, echoing through the apartment. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. "God, I don't know what's worse, the fact that you might have cheated or the fact that you're lying about it." Tears burned in my eyes. "I'm not lying." His gaze locked onto mine for a long moment. I searched his face for something, understanding, belief, anything, but I saw only devastation. "You broke something tonight," he finally said, his voice quiet but heavy with finality. "And I don't know if we can fix it." I shook my head frantically. "We can. Daniel, please, just," but he was already moving, already reaching for his coat. My pulse roared in my ears as I watched him head toward the door. My legs felt like lead as I forced myself to move, to try to stop him. "Don't walk out," I choked out. He hesitated, his hand resting on the doorknob. For one agonizing second, I thought he might turn around, that he might at least give me a chance to make sense of all of this. But then, without another word, he opened the door and stepped out. The sound of it clicking shut behind him was deafening. The hours dragged by like years, each minute a weight on my chest, suffocating me. I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands shaking, my mind racing in circles, trying to piece together something, anything, that would explain what had just happened. Nathan. The name had haunted me since I whispered it, but no matter how hard I tried to recall anything about him, there was nothing. A blank space, a void. I hadn't slept. My phone sat silent on the nightstand, the screen glowing dimly, mocking me with its emptiness. Daniel hadn't called. He hadn't texted. He'd left, and now I was here, alone, drowning in confusion. The quiet of the apartment felt unnatural, too still, too hollow. I wanted to scream, to let out all the pent-up anxiety, but I couldn't. The air felt thick with unspoken words, with things that couldn't be said. The silence stretched into the morning. I stumbled out of bed, my head aching, my body sore from the tension of the night. I went through the motions, brushing my teeth, making a half-hearted attempt to eat something, but nothing tasted right. I couldn't focus. My thoughts kept returning to the same damn name, Nathan. Who was he? I pulled open a drawer in our bedroom and began sifting through old receipts, random papers, things I hadn't bothered to look at in years. Maybe there was something, some clue that would tell me where this name had come from. But nothing. It was as though Nathan had been erased from my life entirely. Not a whisper of him in any of the memories I could access. Desperation crept in like a shadow. I needed answers, and the only person who might have them wasn't here. Daniel. I had to find him. I had to fix this. My fingers hovered over my phone, but I didn't know what to say. What could I say? Sorry, I didn't mean to say that name. That wouldn't explain anything. It wouldn't fix anything. I paced the apartment, my mind running through the possible scenarios, the questions piling up faster than I could answer them. Why Nathan? Why him? There had to be a reason. I thought back to the previous days, trying to remember anything out of the ordinary, any hint of a problem, any strange look from Daniel, any unusual conversation. But no. Everything had seemed fine. Or at least, that's what I thought. Maybe there had been small signs I had missed. But no. The only thing that had felt wrong was me, my own subconscious betraying me. Frustrated, I grabbed my purse and headed out of the apartment. The morning light hurt my eyes, but I pushed through, determined to get answers. My first stop was the grocery store. It was stupid, I knew. What was I even going to find there? But I couldn't just sit around anymore. As I walked down the aisles, I could feel my phone vibrating in my pocket, but I didn't look at it. I knew it was Daniel. I didn't want to see what he had to say. I wasn't ready for another round of anger, of accusations. I wasn't ready for him to confirm that he was done with me. But when I looked at my phone, I saw something different. A text message. From my mom. Emily, we need to talk. Now. I stood frozen in the middle of the aisle, my heart skipping a beat. I hadn't talked to my mom in days, and her message felt urgent, unsettling. Something in her tone made my skin crawl. I called her immediately, my hands trembling as I pressed the phone to my ear. Mom? There was a long pause before she answered. Emily, I need you to listen to me. Something's happening, and you need to know the truth. What are you talking about? I felt a knot form in my stomach. It's about Nathan. Her voice faltered, and I heard her take a shaky breath. I didn't think you'd remember him, but it's all coming back now, isn't it? I froze. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Who is Nathan? Why is his name in my head? She hesitated again, and when she spoke next, her voice was barely a whisper. He was your brother. Your twin brother. He died when you were just a baby. I couldn't breathe. My mind shattered into pieces as the words sunk in. My brother? Nathan was my brother? Her voice cracked, and I could hear the tears she was trying to hold back. Yes, Emily. Nathan was your twin. We thought it was better for you to forget him. You were so young, and we didn't want to traumatize you with the memory of his death. We erased him from your life, but now, it's coming back, isn't it? My chest felt heavy as the truth settled in. Nathan had been my brother? How could I have forgotten? How could I not have known? I had no memory of him, no recollection of the loss, nothing. It was as though my mind had completely erased him from existence. I'm sorry, Emily, my mom continued. I didn't know how to tell you. I never wanted you to find out this way. I could barely hear her words, the reality of what she was saying crashing down on me. Nathan. My twin. Gone. And yet, his name had come back to me, unbidden, in the most impossible of ways. I didn't know what to think, what to feel. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I ended the call quickly, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I needed to go home, to think, to process everything. Nathan. He was real, and yet, he wasn't. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. I stumbled back into the apartment, my head spinning. Daniel was still gone. I was alone with the truth I didn't want, the truth that had been buried so deeply that I couldn't even remember it. Nathan had been my brother. And somehow, in some twisted way, I had whispered his name in bed. But why? And what did this mean for me and Daniel? The apartment felt colder than before, emptier, as if the walls themselves had grown tired of holding all the unresolved emotions. I sat on the couch, my mind racing with everything I had just learned. Nathan. My twin brother. How could I have forgotten him? How could I have lived my whole life without knowing about him? The pieces were all scattered, and I couldn't put them together. I stared at the phone, the screen flashing with unanswered texts and missed calls from Daniel. But I couldn't bring myself to open them. What was I supposed to say? Sorry, I whispered the name of my dead brother while we were intimate. It sounded insane, even to my own ears. The truth was I was scared of losing Daniel, scared of confronting the ghosts of my past, and scared of the realization that there were things I didn't know about myself, about my own life. I felt like a stranger in my own body, walking through memories that didn't belong to me, in a life that didn't quite fit. My phone buzzed again, dragging me out of my thoughts. This time, I didn't hesitate. I unlocked it and saw Daniel's name staring back at me. He had sent a message, "We need to talk." That was it. No explanations, no accusations, just those words. I sighed, rubbing my eyes, as though the act could somehow erase the panic I felt. I couldn't keep running from this. I couldn't avoid him forever. As much as I wanted to shut everything out, I knew I needed to face it, whatever it was. I took a deep breath and dialed his number. The phone rang twice before he picked up. The line was quiet for a moment, and I could feel the distance between us stretching miles in that silence. Emily, his voice was strained, low, and filled with an edge I hadn't heard before. What's going on? I swallowed hard. I don't know. I don't understand any of this. I didn't mean to, don't even say it, he interrupted, his tone cold, clipped. How could you, Emily? You don't even know who Nathan is, do you? I flinched. I had expected the anger, but hearing it so raw, so real, made my stomach turn. I swear, Daniel, I don't. I didn't. Then why did you say his name? Why did it come out of your mouth like that? Was he in your head? Was he more than just a ghost to you? Because that's what it feels like there's something else in there, something I don't know about. I could hear the hurt in his voice now, the cracks forming in his words. The walls that I had spent so long building between us were collapsing with every sentence. I didn't know, Daniel, I whispered, feeling the tears welling up. I didn't know who Nathan was. I didn't remember him. I never even knew I had a brother. A pause. The silence on the other end of the line was suffocating. I didn't know if he was processing what I had just said or if he was trying to figure out what to say next. Your mother never told you? His voice was quiet, almost disbelieving. She didn't tell you about Nathan? No, I breathed, my voice trembling. I don't remember anything. I don't even remember him being in my life. That's messed up, Emily. The frustration in his voice was unmistakable. And then you go and say his name when we're together, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't know, I choked out. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't even know who he was. I don't remember any of it, Daniel. I could hear him take a deep breath, his exhale shaky. What are you saying? That you're suddenly remembering things you've forgotten all this time? No, I'm saying that I don't remember him. I don't remember anything about Nathan, and now I don't know what to do with that. It's like this huge part of me was erased, and I don't know how to fill in the gaps. I don't know how to explain it to you. You think you can just expect me to understand? You think I can just let it go because you didn't remember? His voice was sharp, angry. This isn't something I can just forget, Emily. You don't get to say another man's name in bed and expect it to be okay. You don't get to act like it's nothing. I'm not acting like it's nothing, I snapped back, more sharply than I intended. But you're acting like I did this on purpose, like I set out to hurt you. I didn't. I didn't even know who Nathan was. How am I supposed to explain that? There was a long silence before he spoke again. I don't know, Emily. I don't know what I'm supposed to think anymore. You keep saying you didn't know, but I don't know if I can believe that. His words stung like a slap, and I winced, the weight of his distress crushing me. I had never meant to hurt him. I had never meant for any of this to happen. Do you even want to understand? I asked, my voice cracking. Or are you just done with me? Is this it? He didn't answer right away. The pause stretched on so long that I thought maybe he had hung up. But then, when he did speak, it was barely above a whisper. I don't know. I don't know if I can just forget what happened. You said his name, Emily. You can't take that back. The finality in his words hit me like a cold slap. He was pulling away. He was already making his decision. And I had no idea how to make him see that I hadn't meant to hurt him. That I was just as lost in this as he was. I don't want to lose you, Daniel, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Please. I need you to believe me. But all I got in return was silence. It felt like the loudest thing I had ever heard. The morning light filtered weakly through the blinds, casting a dull glow over the room. The air felt thick, heavy, like it was holding its breath. I hadn't slept much, too many thoughts, too many emotions swirling in my mind. I kept playing the conversation with Daniel over and over in my head, trying to understand where things had gone wrong. Trying to figure out if there was anything I could do to fix it. The silence between us was suffocating. It had been days since we last spoke, and it felt like an eternity. I could still hear his voice in my head, so raw and full of pain. The way he said he didn't know if he could forget what happened. The way it felt like he was walking away, no matter how hard I tried to hold on. I didn't know how to fix this. I didn't know how to explain something I didn't fully understand myself. How could I make him see that I had never meant to hurt him? How could I make him believe that it was an accident, that the name had slipped out without my even realizing it? That it wasn't a sign of something deeper, something more sinister? But it felt like no matter how much I said that, the damage had already been done. I glanced at my phone again, hoping for some kind of message, some kind of sign that maybe things weren't as broken as they seemed. But nothing. I had tried calling him a few times, but the calls had gone straight to voicemail. I had sent a few texts, but they were all left unanswered. I knew I couldn't just sit here, waiting for something to change. If I wanted to fix this, I had to do something. I had to take control. But what could I do? What could I say that would make him understand? I stood up, pacing around the apartment, the walls closing in on me. I couldn't keep running away from this. I couldn't keep pretending like everything would magically get better on its own. I had to face the truth about Nathan, the truth about my past, the truth about the mess I had made. I grabbed my jacket and headed out the door. I didn't have a plan, but I couldn't stay here anymore. I needed to find answers. I needed to understand why Nathan's name had come out of my mouth, why it felt so natural, so real. It wasn't just a slip of the tongue. It wasn't just some weird coincidence. There was something deeper, something I wasn't seeing, and I needed to uncover it. I drove aimlessly through the city, the streets a blur as I tried to make sense of everything. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the edge of something I wasn't prepared for. The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. How had I forgotten my own brother? How had I lived my whole life without knowing about him? The questions kept piling up, each one leading to more questions. I wasn't even sure where to begin, but I knew I had to start somewhere. I pulled into a small cafe, hoping that a change of scenery would help me clear my head. I stepped inside and found a seat in the corner, trying to focus on the quiet buzz of conversation around me. But my mind was elsewhere, still trapped in the past, still trying to piece everything together. My phone buzzed, snapping me out of my thoughts. I looked down, and my heart skipped a beat when I saw the name on the screen. It was Daniel. I hesitated for a moment, my fingers hovering over the screen. What should I say? What could I possibly say that would fix everything? But before I could overthink it, I answered. Hello? There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then, finally, his voice. Emily. It was quieter than before, less tense, but still distant. I've been thinking. I held my breath, my pulse racing. About what? About everything, he said softly. About Nathan. About you. About us. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my nerves. Daniel, I didn't mean, I know, he interrupted, his voice gentle now, but there was still a hint of hesitation. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. But it's hard, Emily. It's hard when I feel like I don't know you anymore. My stomach twisted at his words. I never meant to make you feel that way. I swear, I never wanted you to doubt me. He sighed. I don't doubt you, Emily. But this This is a lot. A lot to process. And I don't know how to make sense of it. I don't know how to make sense of it either, I whispered, my voice breaking. I'm just as lost as you are. I didn't even know about Nathan. I don't remember him, Daniel. I don't remember anything. There was a pause, and I could hear him breathing slowly, thinking. Maybe you need to find out more. About Nathan. About your past. Maybe it's time you remember. I frowned, confused. What do you mean? I mean, maybe the answers you're looking for are out there, he said. Maybe it's time for you to face everything you've been running from. Maybe that's the only way we can move forward. I stared out the window, the words sinking in. Was he suggesting I should try to uncover my past? Was he telling me that I needed to face the truth about everything, even the parts one had forgotten? I don't know if I can do that, I said quietly. What if I'm not ready? You don't have to do it alone, he replied. But I can't wait forever, Emily. I need to know that you're willing to face the truth, whatever it is. The weight of his words settled on my chest like a stone. I had to face the truth. I had to dig into the past I had buried so deep. But I wasn't sure if I was strong enough to uncover what might be waiting for me there. I'll try, I whispered. I'll try to find the answers. I'll be here, he said softly, and the line went quiet again. I sat there, phone in hand, feeling a strange sense of relief mixed with fear. It wasn't fixed, not yet, but maybe, just maybe, this was the first step toward finding the truth. Toward fixing the mess I had created. I ask everyone who likes our content to subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot, and it will be a pleasure to have you here with us.